Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Dimitri Johnson, and you're listening to MMALatestNews.com.
It's time to roll, baby.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to MMA Latest for another episode of The Tap Out. Today, joined by Harry and joined by James. Lad, thanks for joining me.
You're more than welcome. Defending my belt today, Kieran.
I'm pretty sure you won that belt under suspicious circumstances. If we can roll, whoever edited it rolled it in last time. I don't know. Subjective case.
It's a more valid belt than the BMF title, which will be on the line this weekend. The tap-out belt, which of course belongs to James Sweetnam.
Well, he's got a worthy challenger here today in Harry. Harry, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me here again.
Is it your first time on the tap out? Is it?
It is my first time on
man.
it.
You've got a man with no fear. You may have the experience, but
I've been in the game a long time, Kieran, and I know how to get the job done. I've got experience.
Well, that's left to be seen. Obviously, lads, a lot going into UFC 244 in Madison Square Garden on Sunday to talk about. It's obviously how the game works. So, lads, we're literally going to give you a minute on the clock. Harry, you've stated your Nate. James,
I'm going with Jorge Masvidal.
Harry, you're the guest, you're the newcomer. I'll start you first. Why Nate Diaz will be victorious on Saturday night, starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
I think he just has a lot more experience in those high fight situations. Sure, Masvidal might have a couple more highlight reels with the 5-second knockout and whatnot, but I think the fights with Conor, the headline situations he's had, and the 3 years off, I think he's refreshed. He looked better than ever against Pettis. Even if that did go to decision, it's not always about getting the knockout. And I think it might just be a little bit too much in such a short space of time, 2019, for Masvidal. I think Diaz is going to take this one.
And why do you think, obviously Nate going up to 170, do you not think that may be a bit of a disadvantage to him, given the fact that he doesn't have the best record at 170?
I think that was a long time ago. Now, I think at that weight it was a bit too much for him. He was a young lad at that weight. I think now, as he's got older, I think it holds up into his frame a lot better, as we saw against Pettis.
Yeah, and we'll stop that there with 5 seconds to spare. Interesting case there as well. Obviously, Nate experience, as Harry said, with the McGregor fight and so on and so forth, with all the media and the spotlight on him. James, I'll hand it over to you. Why do you think Jorge Masvidal will get the job done on Saturday night, and why starting in 3, 2, 1, go?
Well, I agree. Nate Diaz has been involved in the public eye for such a long period of time, but to say that Jorge Masvidal won't be able to cope with that, I think is ridiculous, because if we look at the 2 biggest fights of his career, he has more than rose to the occasion. Darren Till, he's gone into enemy territory. Everybody is terrified of the man from Liverpool. He's massive for a middleweight. He hits so hard, and Jorge Masvidal ran through him, knocked him out cold with a left hook, and nobody had ever done that to Darren Till. He then steps up against Ben Askren, who was 19-0, this NCAA champion, this Olympian, somebody that people wanted in the UFC for such a long period of time. He finally gets there, and Jorge Masvidal flying knees him in the face in 2 seconds. 2 seconds, utterly ridiculous. This man who Joe Rogan and Eddie Bravo talked about for years and years and years, he was going to be the second coming of Jesus almost, Ben Askren, in the world of the UFC. But Jorge Masvidal dealt with him comfortably. He's a real fighting man. We saw it in the Backyard Brawls with Kimbo Slice. He is the man to beat.
1 minute on the spot there. So obviously you going on the spot that he has been more active over the past few years and a lot of highlight reel knockouts. Interesting case made by 2, I will say. Obviously, Harry going with the fact that Nate has had the exposure and is used to this media attention with the spotlight on him. James going with the fact that obviously Jorge been more active over the past number of years. However, in my subjective opinion, I would have to say that perhaps Harry's case, you know, fighting Pettis after only 2 years off and taking a fight like that and taking him out as efficiently as he did, I think I'm leaning slightly towards Nate. Not to say, James, that your case wasn't a good one. I'm going to give Harry the first point in that round. But don't worry.
Disgusting.
You've still
Disgusting. Where's the camera? Disgusting.
You've still got 2 more rounds to scrape it back.
To scrape it back. Okay.
Scrape it back.
Okay.
Right, moving on to round 2. Obviously, gents, a lot's been said about the co-main event on Saturday. We have got Kelvin Gastelum and we've got Darren Till. 2 very interesting cases. 2 lads coming up from 170 traditionally. Till making his debut. Gastelum, former interim title contender. James, I'll start with you. Who are you going to go behind for the main event?
I will be backing my fellow Englishman, Mr. Darren Till.
You are going with Darren Till. And Harry, you will be going with, presumably,
Mr. USA, Kelvin Gastelum.
Kelvin Gastelum himself.
Traitor.
So we started off with Harry last time. James, I'll allow you to start this time. So in 60 seconds, why you believe Darren Till will get the W on Saturday night and why, starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Darren Till is one of the most talented fighters within the UFC. He's an incredible striker, and what was letting him down was two things. He was inexperienced. He went against Stephen Thompson when his best win on record was Donald Cerrone, and he gave it everything that night. He stepped up against Tyron Woodley far too early, and once again, the Jorge Masvidal was a big ass, but he was drained by weight. Now he's at middleweight. There's nothing stopping this man. He's an absolute animal in the gym. He's hitting as hard as ever. Kelvin Gastelum, he's coming off a loss as well. And the fact that Darren Till has shown so much about himself that he keeps wanting to take these big opportunities. He knows that he can lose this fight, but he's coming to win. He says he feels the best he's ever done. Nobody's going to stop this man. His Muay Thai's looking as good as ever. He's working on his wrestling. He's as sharp as he's ever been. And I think Darren Till's going to be utterly unstoppable at this weight. He's going to beat Kelvin Gastelum, and then he's going to move on, and he's going to beat Israel Adesanya just as easily as he's going to beat the American.
With 2 seconds to spare as well, interesting case there made, of course. Darren Till obviously coming back after taking a couple of big fights, maybe too early. So I'll take on what you've said on board. However, I'm going to have to give Harry his opportunity to make his case on why Kelvin Gastelum will be victorious on Saturday night, starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Well, I think for Gastelum, a lot of people underestimate him all the time because he's not the biggest middleweight, like height-wise. You saw the size differential between him and Israel Adesanya. That's going to probably be similar against Till. But I think he's criminally underrated. His hands are brilliant. His timing's brilliant. His footwork's brilliant. His wrestling's outstanding. Even back from the Ultimate Fighter days, just criminally underrated. Last pick, and like now a former, I think he was a former interim champion or a challenger for the interim title. Like, I don't think you can underestimate his credentials. I think with Till does look big, but he has a way of getting around that. He's fought bigger guys all his career, so I think this is just a similar fight than to what he's been used to now. So I don't think it's going to be as big a trouble as many people think Darren Till's going to cause him.
And with 10 seconds, he has made his case. So obviously the point making there that Gastelum going up to fight Adesanya, and probably I think we'd all agree no one's given him as much trouble as Kelvin Gastelum did. Obviously Adesanya nearly finishing the fight, but Gastelum nearly dropping Adesanya in the fight as well. 2 interesting cases, I must say, but I have to say I am leaning towards James on this one, given the given the fact that Till, I think, he has used his size to an advantage at 170, and I think going up to 185, I mean, fighting someone like Gastelum who has all the dimensions of, you could even say a 155, or, the size of him in his reach. So I do think, in my opinion, James put forward his case just slightly, but we still have one more round, lads. It's still all to play for. All to play for in the final round. So going into the final round, the scores are 1 apiece, and lads, there's only one way to finish this off, and that is obviously what kind of is dominating the headlines. This BMF belt that has been kind of an idea, and this thing that was thrown around, and it looks like the UFC have given it its backing, and there will be an actual belt on Sunday. So I said the question I have for you guys is, going in on Saturday night, the BMF belt, are we a fan or are we not a fan? James, I started with you last time. Harry's the guest. You will be able to start. Harry, you will be going on what side of the debate for the BMF belt?
Bad idea.
Bad idea. James, you will be going on the side.
Oh, I love the BMF belt.
He loves the BMF belt. What a BMF, James. Anyway, Harry, you have 60 seconds to prove your case on why the BMF belt is a bad idea for the sport and should not be headlining UFC 244 on Saturday in 3, 2, 1, go.
Right, I get it. It's a fun idea. But this is MMA. We're trying to take the sport seriously, and we're having gimmick belts like this. For me, this is a BMF idea. It's not. It's a terrible thing to headline Madison Square Garden with. Like, you have these 2 guys. These 2 guys could fight for any title or anything. Don't you need a title attached to it? It's just a way to attract more celebrity to it, more fanfare, more like pro wrestling gimmick stuff to it. You need to keep that out of the sport. In my opinion, I like the traditional. I like the proper martial artist who takes things seriously. I don't enjoy all this gimmick stuff. I mean, I like pro wrestling, but I don't like it coming over so much all the time. I think it's not necessary. It's downright not necessary. It's childish. It's silly. And when you hear him say, "Oh, we've got the BMF belt," I'm just like, it just sounds so cringy to me. Maybe to Americans it's a big thing, but to me, I'm just not a big fan of it, and I don't think this fight needs it whatsoever.
With 2 seconds to spare a pretty concrete case made. But it's only fair we give James his opportunity to speak.
Let's leave it there. Give me the round. Give me the round.
We will let James have his say. So, James, you have 60 seconds to prove why the BMF belt is a good idea for the sport and for UFC 244 on Sunday. In 3, 2, 1, take it away.
What the BMF belt is just a celebration of the sport. Believe it or not, UFC 244 is the 500th event in UFC history. And it's celebrating fighters that might not necessarily be the best in the world, but fighters that sum up the sport of fighting and just fighting in general. Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal, if they weren't professional athletes, they'd be fighting in car parks. We know Nate Diaz loves a rumble in Stockton. We know that Jorge Masvidal used to fight in Backyard Bros in Miami with Kimbo's Life. People love these men and they attract headlines. Are the more talented fighters on the bill? Yes, there absolutely are. But people are paying to tune in. People are paying to see Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal because people love their gangster attitude. The BMF belt is something that they deserve. West Coast gangster and East Coast gangster. They're coming together to make this huge event, headlining the Mecca, the biggest arena in the world. And that's why these two men deserve their shot to win a belt and prove to the whole world that they deserve the credit that they've earned over years and years of hard work and determination.
With 3 seconds to spare as well. Lads, interesting case put forward by two, obviously a new idea. Harry making the point as well that it is too gimmicky, that it doesn't quite tie into the traditionalist view of martial arts. James, of course, you making the case as well that these two men essentially are walking gimmicks themselves. You know, they are.
Sorry, Nat.
That being said, as much as it pains me to say, I think James may have put forward the case that, given the fact that, you know, MMA isn't what it was 10 years ago, you know, Nate Diaz, and they are gimmicks themselves, and as bad as it may be cringy the idea is, people have seemed to have bought into this BMF thing. As you mentioned, The Rock's going to be, well, apparently going to be there. I mean, it's gotten the the mainstream media attention, essentially. So, unfortunately, Harry, you've been a worthy opponent, but we do have to live with the smugness of this guy
still
around.
The tap-out champion of the world.
I'll be back for this title.
Still have to live with the smugness of the champ around here. Anyway,
defending it, and what?
anyway, guys, that's all from us today. Make sure to like us on Facebook, Twitter, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. Make sure to like the video, drop recommendations in the comments below. We will be doing a watch along of UFC 244 on Saturday night, so make sure to tune into that, and we'll see you then. Cheers.